Join us on Open Table.
Open Table.
Open Table. Hello, everyone. This is Osas.
Okiki.
Izor here.
And we are the ladies on the Open Table. We're here to talk about something very interesting and scintillating, and that has to do with love and relationship. We are looking at in love, in marriage. Which is the bigger fight? What causes a bigger problem in love and marriage? Is it finances or infidelity? This has been something that everybody talks about. We have so many opinions on this, and this is why we want to talk about this. We feel it's an interesting topic. And I want to ask my colleagues here and friends to find out, what do you think causes these problems more? Is it infidelity, like a man is unfaithful to you or the woman is unfaithful, or is it when there is lack of money or too much money? Let's talk about this.
Okay, so for me, I think it depends on the culture. A lot of things play into it.
Yeah.
In some climes, polygamy is not frowned at. And even having a side chick or concubine,
right,
is not a deal breaker. In some cultures. And so in that kind of culture, infidelity would not take a very huge impact in the home to the point where it will lead to fight and squabbles and separation. The woman just understands that, that's just how it is. That's not to say she's happy with it, or she just knows that, okay, let's live and let's live. Things like that.
So when you say infidelity, are you saying, or because you say polygamy, is it side chick? Because having a side chick and having many wives is two different things.
In some cultures, and mostly in the African cultures, that where even though we say, the couple went for a Christian marriage as it is, the culture permits the man to go around. It's not hugely frowned at the way it's frowned at the West. So even though the wife, either she knows or she doesn't know, it's not hard. I don't know how to phrase this. So it is there, but it's not a big issue. The woman will just take her and say, okay, let me just manage. And then there are also the culture that allows polygamy. That's where the man can marry more than one wife, like in the Islamic tradition.
Religion.
That in that kind of cultural setting, infidelity would not be a deal breaker as such. At least that's my view. And then also, I think that it also depends on the age of the marriage. If it's a young marriage, this is all my view. If it's a young marriage, things are still, money is tight and whatever. So when one party is not bringing money, it's like, oh, we are going to die. But when it's an older marriage where the man is financially secure, the woman is financially secure. If the man is not bringing money, it concerns you there. I have my money. So that's my view.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Izor. I would want to say, I think it has to do with individuals. I wouldn't even want to say about culture, about race or anything. I would want to say it depends on each individuals, right? Now, for example, at times, what you would accept in this situation, when you are in this situation, you might not accept it when you are in a different situation. Looking at it, for example, infidelity is coming from the angle of a man now, and even for aspect of culture that says maybe you can marry more than one, it's not termed maybe having a side chick, right? At times when a man comes plain, oh, this is what I want to do, or I found myself in this situation, might even make the other spouse forgive. But there are some that would not even declare their intention. They would keep it a secret. So I think for that kind of thing, when that happens, that might be the deal breaker. Like, oh, if you can keep this kind of thing a secret for me, then let me just say you can actually do different things to me that you won't even complain. But if a man makes a mistake or a woman makes a mistake, right, and you come out plain and say, oh, I found myself in this situation, it's possible that the spouse might forgive and, okay, since it's something you identified, it's an error on your part, then we can move on. So that's why I would want to come, at times the situation will matter how the spouse will react. Maybe it's the spouse find out when the husband or the wife was actually pretending at home as if everything was going on well, and the spouse find out from an outsider, that can even cause, and say, oh, if you can do this, then it's over for me, like between us, I think that's over. So I think it's situational.
In my own opinion, I would actually say that, well, to an extent, I agree with what Okiki said in the aspect that it is not, I think it's a personality thing. It might not have anything to do with, well, yes, we know that there are some cultures, but even in the cultures, it's still individualized, because so it's a personal, individual decision. When we talk about infidelity is unfaithfulness, right? It's different from maybe polygamy. Polygamy is not really termed infidelity if your culture and your personality agrees with it. Infidelity is like you are cheating on your wife, or you are cheating on your husband, because some ladies, because if we say polygamy, well, most times is a man married to more than one wife, so 2, 3, 4 wives. But nevertheless, generally we know it's more of a man marrying more than one wife. But when we talk about infidelity means cheating, being unfaithful to your current spouse or to your partner. That means the other person you are cheating with is not maybe legally married to you at that time.
But there are scenarios where, at least I have heard and I've seen, where the woman in the house is legally married to the man.
Yes.
And then the man goes out and marries.
That is not polygamy.
That's polygamy. That's
polygamy.
Not cheating. Like the wife at home knows that.
No, sometimes she might not know. Yes, I agree. Because there are some people that have a wife abroad, maybe in America, in US, and they still have another wife in another country.
But the general idea behind polygamy is letting the other. It's not something like I support in any way. But the idea behind polygamy is it's not nothing hidden there.
Okay, that's true.
Like nothing hidden. You can always, even if nothing hidden, it has to be a decision.
In a polygamous setting, yes. It shouldn't be hidden. So you talk to your wife, you want to take another woman, or you are married to somebody else, or you are becoming. But we are talking about a person that tends to, not even based on religion or based on society or anything, just is cheating on you. He's unfaithful. He sees a woman, he has another woman outside, or a woman too. A lot of women are unfaithful in marriage. There was the incident that is viral right now about I think it happened also like in the UK, and there was this woman that her husband brought in a girl into their home, and I think the girl was in their home country before now, and he moved her and brought her into the UK because he said, oh, she's his niece. He presented her as his niece, and they worked her papers, and she came over into the country. And it was along the line, I don't know how long it took, about a couple of weeks or months after the guy has been living under their roof as niece to her husband. And the wife discovered that was even he's a love child.
Wow.
And this girl is about the age of 16 or 15 to 16 years of age.
Has he had the child before?
Apparently, he had, because their family is like a younger family. Her own kids are younger. Maybe the eldest would be like about 8 or 10 or thereabout. But she never knew this guy had a child outside the marriage. Even whether before they got married or after they got married, whichever way. And this really went viral because we're now fighting, pulling his, and they were screaming, and they had to call in the police. She was telling him to move out and telling the girl to, it was driving out the girl, like, get out of my house. You don't belong here. My husband lied to me. He deceived me. So there is always a level of deceit when it comes to infidelity.
Yeah. That's true.
So in that situation, can we call it infidelity? Because he had that child before he got married. But in that situation, I won't say it's just because he's being like, it was never straightforward and being truthful to the wife. That man, I don't know what the story behind it was, but that man might not be cheating on the wife presently. He had the child maybe before he even started dating. So the situation is like,
you can term it as unfaithful, distrust. Or he lied, he was deceptive, whatever name. Well, that might not be infidelity, but this is just like an example of what other people do, where you can say spouses can be unfaithful to one another. So the main question we are dealing with now is it a deal breaker? Which one which is more weighty for individual?
Individual.
Is it because there's a situation where the man, when we talk about money matters, is either maybe because the person, there's lack of money in the home, it causes a lot of tension, because of suffering, because of poverty, or because, all these, the just that the man is stingy with finances, he's not being liberal, or maybe the wife is even the one that is a spendthrift, she squanders money and it's causing tension in the home, because we have many scenarios where finances can cause problem in the home. Yeah. So what do you think? For you, like, let's even direct our questions to ourselves. What do you think is our deal breaker? Like unfaithfulness or my finances? Which one? It could even be the two. Who knows?
Depends on, again, I still feel it depends on the age of the marriage. I still feel it depends on me. I still feel it depends on the age of the marriage. If I start a relationship with a man and at the beginning, I expect that we would have financial troubles. I expect it because we're just starting, and unless maybe I married like an Odogu banana that has all.
What was Odogu banana?
Odogu banana, that's deep pockets, wealthy guy. He has all the money in the world. And if I get into that kind of union and he's being stingy with his money, I will be offended because at least you have. So that's another conversation in itself. For you to have and not give, at least to take care of your family, that is a fundamental problem there. But if, let's say, the person is a young guy just starting up, I'm a young girl starting up, yes, there will be squabbling about money, but would it be a deal breaker? No, at least not for me. But at that young age too, if we are just entering the marriage and you're already unfaithful to me and probably you have a child out of wedlock and maybe I have not had, that would be a deal breaker for me. But at the later stage of the marriage, when children are inside, no, probably not. That would not be it. There would be other factors for me to use infidelity as a deal breaker. It cannot only be that.
Oh, awesome for you.
So
good.
That's what.
Yeah.
Not only, there has to be other
factors.
Point in time, children are in the marriage.
Yeah.
Maybe the man had some rendezvous somewhere, and he owns up to it, and he's what's the word? He's sorry. Yeah, at that stage, for me, I'm thinking, okay, let's see. We all make mistakes.
Second chance, right?
Let's give second chance. I cannot just up and leave because I have to think about my kids. But if he's now a habitual, unfaithful guy, series after series, that I will now start saying, okay, time to restore.
Okiki, what's your take?
Like I said earlier, I think I kind of agree with what Izor just said about the involvement in that relationship or marriage. You want to consider so many things, and we, like, maybe movies or in real life, you see women that would always stand on their ground. A woman would not send me away from my home, right? You started with this guy, you knew how where you started from nowhere, even if it's from somewhere, but you've had so many things involved in the marriage, like making the marriage work. Your children must be considered. Then at times people make mistakes, and the way they react would even make you overlook their mistakes. Some men, or let me say some spouse, would do this thing and still think, yeah, I did it. What do you want to do about it? What's But some will feel so remorseful, and it's even if they will still go back to do it. But the fact that they carry the way they treat you, the way they make you feel, might even make you overlook the mistakes or the error they made, right? But some, if in situation where the man does not even feel like it feels it's a normal thing and there's nothing you can do about it, then that might be a deal breaker. Like, oh, I can do something about it.
Well, I'm sure there are many ladies that will say, if the man is consistent, a habitual flirt or cheat or womanizer, they will definitely take up and leave. But for me, personally, I feel infidelity for me is stronger than lack of money, or stronger than maybe the man being very tight-fisted with finances. For me, I don't know at what stage. I have not experienced that, but I don't know at what stage I'll leave. But I know that The first, second, if he's repentant, second time, probably. But anything more than that, I'm not staying. Never. I'm not gonna stay. I respect myself more than that. I think I feel um worth more than this. Maybe when we were younger in marriage, if it happened, I might be having a bit confused. Sometimes the environment one is in and the climb might subdue you, especially on the part of the woman, to making you feel that, oh, there are many things that you'll be considering. If I leave now, he will, what do people say?
Right.
If I leave now, my kids and all that. But for me, kids involved or not is not a factor. If there is any level of cheating, infidelity, I'm not going to stay in that marriage. I'm going to leave that person because except we both start cheating now. When you cheat, I cheat. Yes, you cheat, and then me too. I go out and cheat. Well, then I will feel comfortable and satisfied I've also had my own.
Let me add this because it just came to my mind now. Now, again, it also depends on the motive of the people entering the marriage. So imagine this scenario. Let's say big shot, wealthy guy. And the woman came with the intention that I want to marry this money bag and, live the soft girl life and, enjoy the fine things of life. And then she goes into the marriage and the man is not as forthcoming with money. So the main reason of entering that marriage is not there. She probably already, because we have cases where the man, because he's a big shot, he has girlfriends out there. So the woman knows that infidelity will be in this marriage. But at least let me be eating money.
Let me get something,
And then she goes into the union and she's not seeing that money. That would definitely be a deal breaker. And especially if you are in this climb where by the time you leave, what you make will be more than what you are inside. So that kind of person, I'm saying that if the motive was to get in there,
make some money, and I know he has money, he's rich.
Because you hear of all these stories where some, I think it happens mostly, I think there was one particular one with the footballer where the girlfriend, or they got married, and she thought that by the time she leaves, the divorce setting and a divorce settlement rather will favor her. But the man was putting all the money
in his mother's name. I remember.
So that kind of money was the deal breaker. Not infidelity because she came there.
She might not care.
Oh,
I know some people will say, I'd rather cry in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, but she might not come in. I wouldn't want to agree that she came into the marriage. She might not. You
might not have been her initial intention.
Yeah, but maybe the guy was cheating, wasn't treating her well. They said, okay, I'm moving out. Then we know okay. Why was the reason? There must have been. It can be. Oh, I want to go for your money. But let's go back to that point. Is it right, like the guy did, putting his property in
his mother's name?
Is it right?
Well, of course, we are ladies. Nobody will agree that it is fair.
Because I don't know why he put the money.
I think why he did that was the mother was like manager, and the mother was somebody that had solely, she was like single mom that brought him up. So he had that close knit relationship with the mother, and decided that anything I'm doing, my mother is like manager. She was a financial manager, and she was one that links him. Kind of think, if I remember that story very well, she was one that links him with kind of was why. Although I'm not saying it's right because it's still not a very good thing to do.
I think
it's disappointing.
He might have done that. Maybe that's my own opinion. Maybe he had you marry someone, you might be able to predict this.
Why will you marry someone that you're going to eat your money?
I never can tell. Like, he was just trying. I think he was just trying to play smart. Not because fine. We have different people that their mom made them, or maybe their parent, whatever, made them. Might be their manager. Might be. You can put it. You can spoil them. I can even make like you might decide to give your parent even 75 of your earnings. You can decide, I will only spend 25 on myself. That's his own. You get it, but not putting it in that. And you see the way he brought out all those. I think he has that.
That's why some of all these very wealthy people
planning ahead.
They would insist on a prenup.
I
think in one of our podcasts, we talked about how people can pretend early days of dating just to shield them from whatever. Because again, in this time where we are, the West, when the shit hits the fan, as they say, oftentimes it favors the woman. If the man is the wealthier one.
Okay.
You see a woman that has never done anything, the man built his company from scratch all the way to the top. And then some lady walks in because she has hips, lips, and fingertips.
Oh, yeah. He decided to marry her like
He
that.
marries her,
Uh-huh.
and then somewhere down the line, she files for divorce and walks away with 50%.
Well, that's part of it, because
Yes, so-
when she was there, she was
So
servicing him.
that's why
At
I
least she
said
did something
it
good
depends
for
on
him.
the motive. Depends on the motive that the person is coming with.
Mm.
Because some ladies, and this is not to diss us ladies, I'm sorry, but it know that this happens. They marry because they know that if anything happens, I'm
Going to make money from this.
Money.
Like,
for that, money will be there. Because again, I don't want us to lose sight of the conversation. Money will be a deal breaker, not even infidelity.
of money.
Yeah.
Like, remember, yes, there was a story. There's a current story that I'm hearing about. There's this actress that married to a man. And actually, she was broke a home. I will use that word because the man was already married to a woman, to his wife. He was happy with kids, grown up, even as children. And then somehow she snuck into their life and she took over the man. And the man got married to her. And the wife said no, she was not interested in polygamy. She was not going to put up. There was a squabble and a fight, but eventually the wife left him for his new mistress. And now there's the new story is, and the man appeared to be quite doing well financially. He looked like he was wealthy and all. Now there's a story that is like she's now realizing that the man is not as wealthy as she thought. His finances is not as big. When she was from the outside, he looked good because he's a fine guy, good stature, good. He dresses so well. So from outside, she felt this guy was very rich. But now they've been married together. They've been together for like 4 years now, or 3 years plus. And there's now a rumor that she's now trying to be unfaithful, seeing other men because she realized that the guy doesn't not as rich, yes, as she was expecting. So maybe for such a person before that might be a deal breaker.
Yeah, can be a deal breaker totally, because the person came for money and the money is not there.
Yeah, they're frustrated.
If again, to those that was not the motive, and then you come in, believe that if you come into a marriage or a relationship, the money is scarce, but both are willing to work together, they will eventually grow. Both are willing to work together and be open to each other. Because that's another thing. Some men say it's a wrong thing for your wife to know your salary. That once the woman knows the salary, all her mind is to eat everything. And then some women, because again, it's not only the men, some women, because they want to, actually they have a certain clique of friends, because they want to keep up appearances, they will buy things on credit and
they want to wear the latest designers and all that.
So if the two are willing to work together, there's no fight that comes as a result of money that cannot be resolved. When it's infidelity, oh good Lord, there are so many moving parts to it. How did the infidelity happen? What happened after the infidelity? What is your present disposition now that we know that you had gone and done some hanky-panky things? All of that will play a very pivotal role in whether it will break or make the home. Because oftentimes it is mostly the woman. When it's the infidelity is coming from the man, society expects the woman to understand. But when the infidelity is coming from the woman, everybody is like,
stone her
alive, crucify her.
Yeah.
So the scales are not balanced.
No.
So that's why I said it depends on a lot of factors. Because you see, this one we are saying that if the marriage has been long, I will think of my children. It's because we are women. If a man walks in, because let's be graphic here. If a man walks in on his wife, can we use the word bang? Banging on a man, there is no my children.
But the other way around now, that vivid can be very
like that, where the woman walked in on the man and still forgave that man.
Well, that's on the woman.
I'm telling you,
that's on the
woman forgave the man because forgive him now. It wasn't my fault.
Yeah,
it was the devil. But I can bet you that out of 10 men, only one might consider forgiving that woman. Only one. 10 out of 10 the man is like, because they could never take that
Before he even
of their
forgives
mind.
her, he will carry her to shrine to
Hey,
go and
God.
swear. I've heard of stories where because
Yeah.
the woman, they confessed to infidelity, or maybe something happened and not they even caught you
Yeah.
directly, but somehow it was now a known fact that, oh, she had been unfaithful.
Mhm.
He took the woman, they had to go to the village. That's when he
Oh.
remember he has a village. Then she has to strip her naked. She now goes around the village naked, confessing and whatever, because you have some traditions that I am aware of that they believe that once a woman has been unfaithful, the husband will die young or
Yes.
something like that. Yeah, I know
So
some
again, it's
tradition
always
believe
on
in
the
that. Nobody has said
dies.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you nature of men. And I feel that basically couples should really talk about this kind of thing even before they marry.
Yes.
This is where young people who are looking forward to get married should learn that you should talk about some of these issues, discussions, or what's your take on this?
Yeah,
What's your
scenario.
personally? I was courting my husband. We talked about a lot of all these things: finances. Oh, whose account are we going to be using? Well, how much are we going to be giving? Are we going to have joint accounts? Are we going to have earning this? What are you going to be doing about this? And it was a discussion we talked about during courtship. And even when it came to being faithful, we talked about it to an extent. You are shy, you don't want to like wear your suit on, you don't want to like. We still talked about being faithful to one person and your stand, what's your principle, what's your policy. And I feel even though people might say one thing and later in
Yeah,
future they
change,
go behind, but at least you feel comfortable that we talked about this than to be, oh, you didn't talk about this, then what were you doing during courtship? That's the question some people ask.
Because just to add to this, there have been scenarios. So again, it plays differently from one gender to the other. I've heard of stories where even though the woman, just to tie to your own story, even though the woman in that current relationship is not being unfaithful, but just because she said to the man that, oh, back in the day, oh,
yeah,
this with this guy,
mm-hmm.
and then for as life would play, that guy comes back into their space. The man starts looking at the woman.
Yeah, distrust, suspicion.
Okay, we'll say what it is and explain. Old flame. Oh, this is your old flame coming into the picture. How am I sure? You understand? So it still feel that not divorce now. Infidelity is stronger than finances when it comes to what is a deal breaker in most relationships. Then I wanted to ask something because you mentioned it and it just came to my mind. What do you think, talking about finances in the home now, about having joint account? Do you think that will also lead to more fights or less fights?
Okay, I think this topic we're going to handle in our second episode because our time is fast spent and we don't want to make this video too long. So watch out for the next episode. We are still going to talk about joint accounts. When we talk about finances between couples, what is our take on this? We want you to leave a comment in the comment section. What is your view? What's the deal breaker for you? What do you advise young people concerning infidelity or money? Should they endure? Should the woman endure? Should the man take it? What's your thoughts on it? Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos because we are just starting our podcast. We want our community to grow. Love and cheers to you all. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We'll have to stop now and we'll connect to you next episode.